Hi.
Hello.
I'm Kira.
I'm Max.
And this is In Case It Helps, the podcast where we have a little chat, share a little fact, and dole out some advice to your questions in case it helps.
It's episode 1. We're inaugurating.
We inaugurating out here.
For the people who maybe know you better than they know me, which is totally fair, I'm not offended. Who am I? And why am I here?
Maximilian Edward Thomas Chester is my husband and my best friend and my roommate and my therapist and my private chef and my personal trainer and my favorite person in the world. I could just keep
I'm
going.
going to let you keep going.
Shall I
Yeah, no, this is great.
My writing partner, my producing partner.
It's like they say, behind every great man is an even better woman. Is that what they say?
Yeah, you are
that's me. I'm the better woman.
behind me, yes. I'm very excited for you all to get the opportunity to see what an incredible person he is.
It's very sweet. It's my pleasure to be here because I love talking to you more than anything in the world. And now we get to invite everyone else to our little dinner table and have a nice time. Speaking of dinner, before we get to the main meat course of answering some viewer questions, can I start with some little appetite whetting
some hors d'oeuvres, as it were.
Do you know about hors d'oeuvres?
Like etymologically?
Yeah.
Okay, it's French.
Hors d'oeuvre.
It's just a direct translation?
Direct translation. Or rather, it's not even a translation, it's just French.
Is or have to do with like time, hour?
What is oeuvre?
Oh, your oeuvre. Like your thing that you do.
The central thing you do, which in the case of a meal would be
the main course.
So if you are hors of the d'oeuvres, you might be
outside
in the main course.
D'oeuvre of the work.
Outside
is that
of the work.
translation?
Yeah.
It's work?
In the sense of like a body of work or
the main ting.
Yeah, the main ting.
As it were. All right, let's scarf down some hors d'oeuvres. Yum, yum, yum.
Kira.
Max.
Tell me, what was the best thing you ate this week?
We ordered Korean food with our best friends, and it was so good. We had like bibimbap and tteokbokki and bulgogi. Oh, the beef bulgogi was so good. Most of the time when we like order food, it's the things that we don't feel as adept at cooking. So it's like Thai, Indian, Chinese, Japanese. Right. We're getting into Ethiopian. But yeah, Korean isn't something that I've started like thinking of and remembering until recently. And every time I do, I'm like, dang, I got to eat this more. So I'm on the Korean food wave right now. What's the best thing you ate this week?
I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
I ate something this week that was so good that I didn't tell you about it because it might have made you jealous. 2 or 3 days ago, I went to your parents' house to pick up packages because they were babysitting packages for us. And when I walked in, I opened the front door and I was met with a smell that was ambrosial.
What did my dad cook?
24-hour sous vide reverse sear tri-tip. Straight out of the reverse sear with garlic and dripping in salt. It was
I'm happy for you.
Insane.
Yeah,
it was the kind of bite of food that would have put like a significant dent in the global number of vegans.
I'm sorry I can't be her.
If she had a finger, I would have put a ring on it.
I'll never be 24 hours.
You'll never be 24 hours sous vide.
So sorry.
But it was unbelievable.
Good for you.
Let's move on before my mouth starts watering.
I'm already hungry.
Second question of the week that I would like to know the answer to is, what's the best thing you watched this week?
Oh, I rewatched Call Me By Your Name for the first time since I was like a teenager. And it was so lovely. I think the first time I watched it when it came out, it was a little lost on me. I don't think I knew how to sort of live in a movie that was just a contemplative world that posed questions about life and growing up. I think I remember being like, where's the plot? You know, like I was a kid. But this time it's just what a beautiful world to get lost in, and what lovely themes and questions and ideas about life. Also, I think just like coming of age movies hit different after you've come of age.
Right.
You know, there's just more perspective. I'm sure I'll watch the movie again in 30 years and I'll understand the parents' perspective in a totally different way. So yeah, beautiful film. Glad I rewatched it. And also glad that I saw a clip on TikTok and was like, I'm going to go watch the full movie.
Rather than going part 2, part 3,
exactly.
part 4.
I'm really trying to do that less. What's the best thing you watched this week?
The best thing I watched this week was not a show, it was a person in a show, and that is Jean Smart in Hacks.
Oh, yes.
What an insane performance.
Hannah Einbinder's great too.
Yeah, she's great, and she really comes into her strength in the recent season as well. Just like, it's a freaking masterclass, man. She's unbelievable.
Unreal. Every other choice she makes, we're like, God, that was such a brilliant choice. Like, different and unique, but so right for the character.
So true to character, and like, just joyous.
Yeah.
It's just a joyous performance.
She also plays inebriated so well, which is hard to do.
Not a long answer, but that's the best thing I watched this week.
You're a man of few but very good words.
Thank you. Speaking of good words, best word you learned this week.
That was a tasty segue.
Yeah.
Best word I learned this week was anodyne, which is one of those words that a friend of ours used, and we were like, wait, one more time? And we looked it up, and it was one of those like, oh, I'm so glad I know this one now. This is going to come so in handy. Anodyne means literally painless. An being the Greek word for no, none, and odine being pain, literally no pain. And it has a connotation, I think, of like painlessness, even maybe to the point of dullness or boredom, like it's got no edge.
Like inoffensiveness.
Inoffensive, yeah.
It's when a company says we value innovation.
Right, it's an anodyne statement. It's like, it kind of means
meaningless.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But also it seems you can use it to literally mean a painkiller, a salve, a soother, like the music was an anodyne to his sadness.
That's sick.
It's a good one. Anodyne. What's the best word you learned this week?
I learned Castroite this week.
Like Castro?
Like Fidel Castro.
Like Fidel?
As a reference to something very long-winded, because he had a habit of giving extremely long-winded speeches, specifically one that he gave to the UN General Assembly in New York in 1960 that lasted 4.5 hours. This was not his record. He did one in Havana in 86, I think. Fact-checking, that lasted 7 hours and 10 minutes. I think I read it in the context of someone saying this movie was Castroite in length or something.
Oh, how was that movie? Oh, man, it was Castroite as fuck. Original sentence, maybe?
Very possibly.
New combination of words never uttered?
There you have it. Anodyne and Castroite. It's giving like 98% of Slack messages.
Nice.
Question 4. $1 million idea of the week.
Can I curse?
Yeah, I put a duck over you in a quack.
Quiet f***ing leaf blowers!
Yeah. Have you got something to get out?
Why have we not figured this out? Dyson, come on, you can do this. I clearly have a personal stake in this. It's not even the loudness. It is the on and off. Our brains are very able to selectively turn our attention away from things that are consistent. That's why sometimes like the air conditioning will turn off and you won't notice it was even on until it turns off and you go, oh, it's so quiet in here. You didn't notice that you were hearing the hum, but your brain notices change. And it's every time it turns on, it's like sends a jolt through my nervous system. And it always seems to be when I'm like taping an audition or filming a
the
vlog.
timing is infelicitous.
It's really infelicitous. Nice. It's really early at our apartment complex.
They start like with a 7 on the front.
Yeah, 7:30 or 8. And I'm like, people be sleeping, man. Here's the thing. Like, if there is a reason that it has to be that early in the morning and every day, if it's because it gets too hot for the worker who's doing it later in the day, and so it's to protect their physical safety, or that's the only time it can be scheduled, or even if it's cheaper for the corporation that runs our apartment complex, like, fine. But if there's no reason for it and it's making my life worse and probably other people in the community's life worse,
yeah, we're not the only ones.
I want them to know so that they can change it. So I went to them and I was very nice, but I was also very sleep deprived. And I was like, listen, person who I'm talking to in the leasing office, I know this is not your fault and I'm not trying to like be a Karen or like attack you. I just would like to know, is this going to continue waking me up every single day of the week? Because if so, like, I'm going to have to consider moving. My lifestyle doesn't accommodate being woken up every single day. And I started crying. And I didn't mean to, but I was so sleep deprived that I was really emotional. And
Master manipulator Kira Kosarin.
I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm embarrassed that I'm crying right now, but I'm sleep deprived, and you can tell that this is really an issue because I'm crying. And I just implore you, if you can even move it 30 minutes later, it would change my life. I was like, I'll do a petition. I'll get other community members to sign it if you need. But like, please move the leaf blower 30 minutes later. So I cried.
Have quiet leaf blowers.
Or have quiet leaf blowers, yes. Or just don't do it 5 days a week. How many leaves can there be?
Yeah, that's a lot
I don't
of
mind the
man.
leaves. Leave some leaves on the floor. That's where they go.
I'm trying to crunch in them for fun.
It's outside. That's where leaves are.
Yeah.
Anyway, quiet leaf blowers, please and thank you.
Very nice.
What's your $1 million idea?
In LA, we have these little food delivery robots. They go along. They're so cute. I love them.
Max thinks they're cute.
I love them to the extent that I wrote a short animated script about them.
It's great script. It makes me cry every time I read it. But I find them a little post-apocalyptic. Max thinks they're cute.
They're little guys. They're lovely.
Post-humanoid robots scary, unless make cute.
Yeah, unless smiley face and look up and blink at me, and then it's puppy.
Don't take jobs away from human workers, unless make me go, ah.
Exactly. So we have these guys, and they go around delivering burritos all over the city, and it's great. However, I thought we could expand upon them by having them become self-emptying trash cans that sense when they are full and drive themselves out to the street.
Do they need a capability to open the door, or do they beep at you and you open the door for them?
A little cat flap.
Aha, very good.
Robot-sized cat flap.
Yeah.
With the name of the robot on it.
That's a good idea. I do have to say I have a little bit of a hot take. We were gifted a like a little robot cleaner recently from Shark Ninja. Shout out. Thank you for our gift. And I like it. But I find household chores really good for like dopamine resetting and like attention span resetting. Sometimes when I find myself like really grabbing my phone a lot or feeling kind of dysregulated because of how much technology I'm using, for example, just like taking 3 minutes to fold and put away laundry or take out the vacuum cleaner, unwind the wire, plug it in, go through the motions of vacuuming the living room and putting it away. It's enough to break that and to rebuild that cycle of investing time into something that you then get the reward from. The more that I like lengthen that dopamine cycle of work and reward, the more patient I am, the more grounded I feel. And household chores are a really good way for me to do that. So I don't want to like outsource all of them to robots. That being said, I'm sure when we have like kids and are super busy, my dad just turned around because I said when and not if. And it's because I was going to say if, and I knew when I said if, he'd go, aw. So I said when, and then he reacted exactly the way I thought he would. Let it be known, my father does not pressure me into having kids ever. This is a bit
Just
that we
a little
do.
bit, but like in a healthy way.
He's excited to have grandkids, but he does not pressure us. He's very, very good about that. So yeah, that's a good idea.
I would like it.
Okay.
That would be really nice.
Well, to be fair, I can also just take out the trash for you if you don't like it.
I don't want to add that to your plate.
How about this? I will start taking out the trash and you do the new trash tag in the bin instead. We'll just swap.
Perfect.
Cool. Deal.
Job done.
Okay, what's next?
The final question of our hors d'oeuvres before we dive into the meat is the best fact you learned this week.
Ketchup was medicine. Well, ketchup was sold as medicine in that funky 1800s. This'll cure your ALC way.
Morphine in the Coca-Cola type
beat.
Cocaine, I guess.
Yeah, morphine in the Coca-Cola type beat. My dad's head is hanging low. He's face-palming like it's 2014. Ketchup was sold as medicine. So there are a lot of different versions of this story, and they all seem slightly apocryphal, but there was a sauce in the Far East. Some people attribute it to China, some people attribute it to Thailand, called like ketchup or gochup or ketchup. I found like 15 transliterative spellings. And apparently it was like a fermented fish sauce, which makes sense. And the Brits tasted it and were like, whoa, that's powerful. And I guess they were just like, that must be medicinal. So they started adding first mushrooms and a lot of other things. Eventually in like the early 1800s, this kind of doctor guy added tomatoes. The other part of this story that's interesting is apparently Brits, Europeans, were wary of tomatoes because they're nightshades. They're a member of the nightshade family, like eggplant. The nightshade family of plants has a lot of poisonous plants there within. So people were wary, but then probably because of that association, it was easier for people to believe that maybe it was medicinal.
Right.
Because it's part of this family of plants. It's like how one mushroom gets you high, one mushroom makes you die, and one mushroom makes you a pizza pie. I did that off the dome.
That was crazy.
That was off the
Is that original?
dome. I think it might be.
That's very good if it is.
Take an improv class, guys, and you too can be a fun guy.
Very nice.
Yeah, so anyway, they added ketchup, and this is like mid-1800s now. People were buying it and eating it, and then eventually, I guess, they were like, JK, it's not medicine, or people figured it out.
I happen to know this part of the story.
Really?
Can I give you a second condiment fun fact?
You've never been more attractive to me.
Well, I hope you enjoy the fact. I think it's cool. What you know about sodium benzoate?
What you know about sodium down in the deep when your benzoate goes numb?
It's the end of the 1800s. People be loving their ketchup.
People be loving their ketchup.
Especially with its tomatoey goodness now. There's a problem. Preservation of foods is a huge issue. And tomatoes, while acidic, are not acidic enough to be reliably safe and shelf stable. So ketchup manufacturers, especially the big ones, come up with this idea. They synthesize a chemical called sodium benzoate, the point of which is that in small doses stabilizes products in an acidic environment and prevents them from growing bacteria or mold. It's cheap, it's synthetic, and it works, and everyone's very happy with it until a couple years later, the first wave of anti-chemical additive sentiment passes through the US.
Whoa, the original crunchy.
Codifying in the Pure Food and Drug Act, I think it's called. And as a result of this, Heinz has to stop using sodium benzoate. And so what they do instead is they weigh up the vinegar and they change sodium benzoate to sugar, natural preservative. And one of the results of that is that it's not only safer, but the ketchup gets much thicker and much sweeter.
Yeah.
And turns out Americans freaking loved it. And so modern ketchup is kind of a result of a legal dispute.
Is sodium benzoate actually harmful?
I'm not a chemist. I don't super know this, but I think the answer is that in small quantities, sodium benzoate in the presence of ascorbic acid, vitamin C, can create benzene, which is a carcinogen.
Yeah.
So I think
That's
that
in,
is
like, fuel.
Yeah, we still use sodium benzoate in like makeup and sodas,
But in
either way,
small doses are
now it's
probably
not in
fine.
ketchup, and as a result, the ketchup we have is thick and sticky
Wow.
and fabulous.
We probably should get on to the main point of this podcast, but I do quickly want to say 2 more facts about Heinz ketchup.
Great.
Heinz became this very, very popular, successful tomato ketchup brand, but they had a problem, which was that restaurants were using their bottles to make people think that they were serving Heinz tomato ketchup, but they were
Oh.
actually making house brands or
Right.
putting cheap substitutes in. And so Heinz very cleverly got the exact red color of their tomato ketchup and put it on the outside of the white label that goes on the front of the bottle. And that way, if the inside was actually Heinz ketchup, it would match color perfectly and you wouldn't see the red border. But if the ketchup inside was any other color than Heinz red, you would see the discrepancy and the red border would show. And so it was a way
That's
for customers,
brilliant.
a way to breed trust with customers of whether what they were actually eating was Heinz, because otherwise it was eroding customer trust with the brand.
Because
When
it
they
didn't
would,
taste good.
it
Right.
didn't taste good. They would take a bottle of what they thought was Heinz and it was bad. The other thing that I will
Genius.
say, Heinz did one of the best advertising campaigns I've ever seen, which is they asked a bunch of people to draw a bottle of ketchup. And then they plastered billboards up everywhere of the people's drawings of ketchup, and every single one was a bottle of Heinz. It was trying
Yeah.
to show the brand ubiquity, and why would you ever trust a different brand than the one that has this
Yeah.
power, this presence, this establishedness. So yeah, it was a very successful campaign for Heinz.
Amazing.
What is your fun fact of the week?
My fun fact of the week is that in 2017, the World Taekwondo Federation changed their name to just World Taekwondo, I think, to avoid the acronym WTF.
It was WTF.
It was WTF, and it was giving them brand issues, so
No,
they had to
that's-
change their name.
That's such a great acronym.
Actually, it's not an acronym at all. It's an initialism. Do you know this one?
Oh, no, what's the difference?
If you say it as one thing, SCUBA, UNESCO, like a word, UNICEF, it's an acronym. Initialisms are when you say every single thing.
Okay.
CIA, FBI.
So MILF is an acronym.
Correct. MILF is
Great.
an acronym.
NASA is an acronym.
NASA is an acronym. While we're here, shout out Backronyms, shout out Retronyms.
Backronyms and Retronyms are so good.
Backronyms are sick. Backronyms are acronyms that are devised specifically so the long set of words shrinks to a cool moniker. It happens a lot in like fictional spy agencies. Like in Marvel, they have S.H.I.E.L.D., which is like Strategic Homeland Intervention something.
It's when you start with what you want the word to be, and then you fill in the letters.
A really cool example of this is Amber Alert, the
Yes.
US missing child thing. Originally in the 90s, there was a girl called Amber who went missing. And then afterwards, they bacronymized the name into being America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response, I think.
Wow.
And so now that's a backronym. The other one I want to talk about are retronyms, which are when you rename something when something new is introduced. For example, World War I was called the Great War until World War II happened. And then they were like, okay, well, that doesn't mean anything now. We've got to
Right.
call it World War I. Acoustic guitars, only called that after electric guitars were
Right,
invented.
it was just a guitar.
Snail mail after email.
It's like when I went to the UK and was filming promo for my series, The Thundermans, which now has had 2 movies, The Thundermans Return and The Clash of the Thundermans, and a spin-off, The Thundermans Undercover, and we were shooting a promo for the original series, and they had us read a script. We were like, tune in to The Thundermans Origins. We were like, what the hell is The Thundermans Origins? Turned out they retronymed the original series to be called The Thundermans Origins.
Because there's so many
Because
new
now
IPs.
there have been so many more The Thundermanses.
That's so interesting.
That in the UK,
love
I guess
that.
they call it The Thundermans Origins.
My favorite one is silent movies,
Oh,
which were obviously only called that after talkies came along because all movies were silent movies.
that's great.
Facts. Should we dive into some questions and see if we can maybe dole out some advice
We should,
in case
it helps.
There is a problem with this, which is that like I get this is the central thesis of the podcast. I do just like chatting about
I just love
facts.
talking to you.
It's easy.
We can continue it after we stop filming. And in
That's
fact,
true.
I bet we will.
We probably will.
If
Probably
the
go
last
home and continue.
5 years are any indication.
Question 1 today is perfect because it feels appropriate and it's from someone named Phoebe.
No way! What up,
Sick,
Phoebe?
right? Phoebe has written to ask, what is one piece of advice or information that you wish you could give to everyone on Earth?
Damn, no pressure, Phoebe. I mean, my thesis statement in life, I think, is that the more you can learn and the more information you can gather about the world around you, the more joy you can get out of life. I think that there is nothing in this world that your experience of isn't made better by knowing more about it, and that intellectual curiosity will only give you a better life and make you a more interesting interested, happy person. Like the analogy I always use is like, if you watch a movie in another language that you don't speak, you might get some things out of it. Maybe it's beautiful to look at. Maybe you enjoy the sound of the music. Maybe one of the actors is hot. Maybe you can kind of catch a vibe. But like, if you have subtitles and you know what the movie's about, you're going to get a lot more from that movie. And that's what the world is like. The more that you learn, the whole world around you ends up with subtitles. So yeah, the thing I would tell people is like, learn more. School makes learning seem lame, and I totally get how that happens. But if I can do one thing on this earth before I die, and it's combating that a little bit, I will feel like I've made a good mark on the world.
I love that.
What about you?
God, where do I start, man? I mean, more information is always better is perfect.
Thank you.
Beyond that, young people are smart. Praise publicly, criticize quietly. You can't expect to have a village if you're not willing to be a villager.
Ooh, inconvenience is the price we pay for community.
The sink is part of the dishes. Once you've done the last dish, you then have to wash and dry the sink. Like, I think that should be broadly known.
Wait, will you please just really quickly? So Max is a musician, and he made a track that he was going to be the intro track on one of his projects that didn't end up coming out, but it was called The Rules, and it was always tell the kid riding his bike how cool his helmet is.
Have compassion, eat a mango, something, something, make good lists. Promise me you'll toast your spices, read the news, treat waiters nicely. If you're ever feeling down, please know I'm so glad you exist. Those were the rules.
Is it any wonder I fell in love with him? Come on.
Maybe I'll put it up in the description of the podcast.
I'm listening to it in my head and I'm crying. Oh, it's so sweet. Those are some of your
Those
rules.
are some of the rules. However, if I truly only had the jumbo megaphone for 1 second, I do think I know what I would say. I hesitate because it is currently mid-co-option by the Manosphere Red Pill Brigade, who per usual are missing the point. But if you can have good faith as you listen to this, my answer is be a bit more stoic. I don't mean be isolationist. I don't mean be lone wolf, alpha, masculine emotional repression. What I mean is you don't have to be your first reaction. You don't have to be the fear spike, the spiral thought, the offendedness. You just have to be the person who notices them. And then you can decide how you want to react to them. And that can either be through a pause, through a breath. You can be ferocious. Like, there's no wrong or right answer there. But the point is, your nervous system doesn't get to decide how you act in this world. You cognitively do. Gut reactivity is one of the biggest communicative problems that we have in this world right now. It feels like most people are just operating on that level. And if everyone could just be 10% more stoic in the actual philosophical sense, not the repressive lone wolf sense, I think it would be a much better world.
Wow.
And that's my take.
Hey, you're good.
Thanks for you too.
You're dope.
You want to learn some stuff and be nice to people about it?
Yeah.
Great.
100%.
Now you know what we're about.
Yeah. You want to keep learning stuff and perhaps become the coolest, most interesting version of you? Keep watching this podcast and hopefully we will give you some tools to
That's
do
what
that.
we're trying to do.
So we're trying to do.
Should we move on to question 2?
I think we should move on to question 2.
Question 2 is from Jillian.
Hi, Jillian.
Jillian is 15 and she says, "Hi, Kira, I love the Thundermans.
Thanks.
Good taste. I want to lose weight, but I also know I should love my body. What do I do?"
Great question, Jillian. First of all, thank you for trusting us with that question. The first thing that I want to say is any change that you want to make to your body in any direction needs to come from a place of love and gratitude for your body. And I know that sounds a little cliche, but what I mean is that it needs to come from a place of, I am grateful for this home that I get to live in, and I am going to take care of it, and I want it to feel safe for me, and I want to feel proud of it and comfortable in it and confident in it. And so I therefore am going to be a person who does the things, lives the lifestyle to do that. It can't come from a place of, I hate myself, I'm so ugly, I want to look like her, I'm going to stop eating, right? Like that's not healthy, A, and usually doesn't work, B. I think that it's perfectly fine to want to customize your avatar, right? Like, I don't think that body acceptance or neutrality means that you have to just go, my body's going to look however it looks, and I'm just going to have to be fine with that. Sometimes your body will look ways that are not your ideal, and you do want to have the skill of saying, I still love and accept this. But you are allowed to want to customize your avatar. You are not allowed to try to turn your body into something that it can't be. You can't starve a German Shepherd into being a Chihuahua, right? You're setting yourself up for self-hatred and failure. So those are the first bits that I will put out there. I would love in future episodes to get in depth into what that actually looks like.
How you execute it.
How you actually execute it. We are people who love food, food as culture, food as learning, food as community. We love food as an art form. We are also people who consider ourselves athletes in many different sports, and we love nutrition and to train and to feel our best. And those are things that can sometimes be at odds with each other. And so both of us have developed a lot of ways to let those things live in harmony.
Yeah.
And I think that we are both in a place where we feel like we are able to live a life full of food that we love and enjoy. And we both feel very comfortable and confident in our avatars, in our shells. So in future episodes, we will continue to delve into that. But first, for this bit, we will just say it is totally okay to love yourself as you are and want to change. Those things can peacefully coexist, and you're not a bad person for feeling that way. I'm going to pass to you because I'm sure you've got so many great things to say about this.
Full disclosure, I am not, nor have I ever been a 15-year-old girl.
Really?
And I'm sure it comes with many complications that I could never understand. So I'm sorry for that, but I do have tremendous empathy for the question, and I will offer some things in case it helps.
I hope in case it helps.
The first is just like, level 1, the pursuit of strength and health and energy is not and cannot be antithetical to self-love. Provided it is not
at the expense of...
Yeah, provided it doesn't have noxious reasoning, right?
Yeah.
But I do think being grateful to your body doesn't have to mean loving the shape of it. It can be saying, thank you, legs, for having carried me my whole childhood. Now I'm going to go do a bunch of squats. Thank you, heart, for beating since before I knew what a heart was. And now I'm going to go and do half an hour of zone 5 cardio. Like, you
So
can
that you
exist
can be
with both
stronger.
of those
Yeah,
things.
totally.
You can be grateful for the things your body does without having to feel like you're forced to love it if you don't authentically love it. Like, that's
And also,
okay.
you talk a lot about sort of self-messaging, and I think it's really applicable here. The idea of loving your body, right? That could mean I love my body and therefore I am just gonna let it be whatever it wants to be. And maybe that works for you. The other version is I love my body, therefore I want to take care of it. And the way that I'm going to take care of it is by giving it what it needs. Sometimes that means very nutritious food. Sometimes that means food that makes your soul happy. Sometimes that means I'm going to give it really intense workouts so it can get stronger. And I'm going to give it rest when it needs rest. And these are all things that over time and practice, you learn to intuit what your body needs and the best way to love your body by taking care of it. Part of why this is such a tricky topic is because it is a topic that requires a lot of nuance. The internet is not great at creating conversations with nuance. And so I think that there are a lot of really damaging takes out there. I have personally tried to not talk about any of this at all for years for fear of ever accidentally sending the wrong message. But I think I've gotten to the point where I go, there's so much out there that is so damaging.
That is actively damaging.
I am lucky enough to have had some really wonderful influences to get to a point where I feel very confident and happy in my body and my relationship with it and my relationship with food and exercise. So I would like to start sharing some of those things so that the people who watch me can get some of those nuggets that I have been so lucky to receive. So I look forward to delving into this topic more in the future. There's a fluff ball flying by. I look forward to delving into this topic more in the future. Thank you, Jillian, for inspiring the first bit of this conversation. And I wish you the best on your journey. You are, I'm sure, beautiful exactly as you are. And also, I would like to empower you on whatever your journey of taking care of your body the way that you want to looks like. You got this.
Lovely. Should we dive into our final question for the day?
We've got a final question. It's the final question. Are we going to get copyright restricted?
I don't think that was in tune enough to get copyright restricted. The AI could never catch me.
My dad just went, oh, because he thought he was saying a joke at my expense, which is so out of character. One of the things that I think is so sweet about Max is that in the 5 years that I've known him, he has literally never once made a joke at my expense or anyone's expense. He's funny as hell.
I
And every
don't
joke,
think it's funny.
Every joke
I think
is
it's
kind.
lousy comedy. Be funnier in more creative ways, guys. Up your game.
Look at my husband. I'm so lucky.
We've got a question from James.
Hi, James.
James says, I feel like I change my personality around different people. Am I being manipulative?
I love this question, James.
I thought you might. That's why I brought it along.
Oh, it's such a good one.
Quick note, by the way, if you want us to tackle your questions, leave them in the comments of this video. Likewise, your answers to the best thing you ate this week, the best thing you watched. I'm looking for recommendations.
Yes.
Please put those below.
Drop your hors d'oeuvre answers in the
Drop
comments.
your hors d'oeuvres and your questions.
Okay.
Sorry, back to James.
Yes, thank you.
Is he being manipulative?
James, no, I don't think it is manipulative. I think that it can be manipulative. I think it can be a tool that you could use if you wanted to manipulate. But I don't think that it is in and of itself a manipulative thing. I think that code switching, which is what you seem to be describing, is an incredibly important part of how we form bonds with different communities within our lives. We all have lots of different identities within us. And I think that it is not only totally fair, but important to have different people in your life that bring out different sides of your personality. I've had lots of specific people in my life with whom I have found an overlap in sense of humor that is very unique to my relationship with any other people. And if you look at our text messages, the way I text and talk with them is very different than the way I text and talk with so-and-so and so-and-so. But all of those people in relationships now live inside me. And every time I meet a new person, I have a bigger well of types of sense of humor or communication to pull from. And therefore, I feel like I can connect with more people. I think that the ability to meet a person and find overlap is amazing, and how you build a life full of varied and interesting and complex and different, diverse relationships. So I think code switching is not a bad thing at all. What is a problem is if you're changing your values with different people, right? If you're spending time with people who make you abandon your values that are important to you, or make you feel like you are abandoning yourself in order to be approved by them, in order to find overlap with them, in order to feel in community with them, that can be a problem, right? You want to surround yourself with people who make you good versions of yourself. They don't all have to be the same version of yourself. In fact, I don't think they should. I think different people in your life should bring out different versions of you, but they should all be versions that you like and are proud of and are happy to be. When you spend time with people, you become like those people. So pick people that you want to be like. As long as you're not abandoning your true self in order to find overlap and be more like those people, you're fine. If you are, that might be something worth looking at.
I do think there's a really interesting small tangent to this, which is the place of language, specifically register, how fancy like you're talking, in the workplace. Because while I personally think it's a little parochial, I do think people get really fussy about how you speak in the workplace. And there's a ton that we could talk about why that is and where it comes from and how
Sometimes it's racism.
Sometimes it's racism, spoiler. However, the truth of it is that at the moment, the games of power and respect rely on language, and being able to go and talk to the CEO with deference, expertise, and authority, and then leave and talk to the office cleaner with respect and humor.
And then leave and talk to your friends with a sense of,
peerage
inside
or whatever.
jokes, peerage.
Being able to dive into these things will overall improve the quality of your life, and I personally think the quality of your career as well.
The other bit that I'll mention when it comes to feeling like you are a slightly different person with different people that you hang out with is I want to talk about Familects. Familects are the languages that develop between people who spend a lot of time communicating with each other, that is comprised of all of the inside jokes, the bits that evolved, the nicknames. It's like how my parents call the remote control the patrol car. You know, we call everything in our house has a name
Everything's
that's not
got a
what
stupid
it is.
name. Never come over.
It's a way of building intimacy, and it's a way of letting the language that you use reflect your shared history. And the way that you communicate with one friend versus a different friend can and should be different because you have different shared relationships with those people. So no, I don't think it is manipulative to let different parts of your personality shine with different people. I think it's important. Just don't abandon your values. And if you do find yourself with someone who's making you a version of yourself you don't recognize or you aren't proud to be, probably a relationship that you should reconsider whether or not you want to have in your life.
Preach.
I hope that in case it helps.
I think that's been our little episode 1. We got to chat with
Wow,
you guys. I
we
can't
did it.
wait to hear your comments.
I can't wait to hear your comments.
If you're not subscribed yet, what the frick are you doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, well,
Guys.
to be fair, honey, it's the first episode.
No, but it's
Give him some time.
there's a lot of other good content on this channel, guys.
That is
like
true.
scroll back.
Oh yeah, that's true. For anyone new here, welcome
Yeah.
to my YouTube channel. There are vlogs of my long days filming the Thundermans. There are Kirapedia videos full of etymological wonder and fun facts and interesting stories. There are probably some songs that I wrote. Not that that's something I'm really doing much of anymore, but like that's a thing.
If you look real close, I'm in the back of some of them.
Yeah, Max is
Hiding. There's usually a frame
always
per
around.
video or I'm walking through or something.
I do want to shout out the Twitch viewers. We called Max Disembodied Max because he was always off camera giving delightfully British commentary. Welcome now. May I introduce you to embodied Max.
I'm a real boy.
He's a real boy
I'm a
now.
real boy now.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks
I
for
really
coming.
hope that in case it helped, and we can't wait to see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Pow! That was a half a heart, in case you were wondering. He's not throwing up gang signs. Okay, let's go. Bye.
Bye.